Stan Gibilisco here with Arduino Odyssey episode number 14. There you see the Vilros circuit board right here on the left and the Arduino Uno on the right with a USB cord plugged in and a bunch of components from the last experiment still on the little circuit board. Now, I have to confess to you, maybe I'm just too much of an old timer, but I have to confess to you that I have a problem with the extreme degree of miniaturization involved not only in this little circuit board here, but in the components that are used with this whole thing. Now, what you're looking at now is a Radio Shack TRMS digital multimeter, which is not included with the Vilros Starter Kit, but which I would highly recommend that any electronics experimenter, particularly an analog electronics experimenter, get, so that they can test components to be sure that they really are the values that they say they are. Now, as to what they say they are, that thing supposedly is a 330 ohm resistor. But I have to tell you that even a magnifying glass isn't enough for me to get a clear indication of what the color codes on that thing actually say. A microscope would probably be necessary. However, even if that thing said 330 ohms on there, and I assume it does, the color codes are correct for that. I have checked, by the way, and they are correct for that, using a very high-powered magnifying glass. I was actually able to see it. Well, that's the problem. Not only can I hardly handle these little components in these tiny leads, in many cases I can't even really conveniently see them. Now, I don't know how small the people are who are going to be working with this, but I can't imagine that they're aliens from outer space that are only 6 or 8 inches tall in proportion to humanoids. So I have to assume that a lot of other people are going to have this same problem. Now, the other thing that I need to emphasize here is whenever you have an electronic component like this, a resistor, and you're going to try and make a circuit out of it, you should always test it to be sure that it in fact has the value that it says it does, because once in a while you're going to find one that doesn't. Now, this little digital multimeter, another bit of advice, always leave your digital multimeters or analog multimeters off when you're not using them. Now I'm going to set this thing to read ohms. And then I'm going to put that resistor right there between the two probes. Now, I assume that my body resistance is much higher than 330 ohms, so it's not going to disrupt the reading by much. 318.7 ohms is what it says. That is close enough. That is 10 ohms or 12 ohms off out of 300. That is within 5% tolerance. So, and I believe these are supposed to be 5% tolerance components. 1/6 of a watt? I have trouble believing that thing will withstand 1/6 of a watt. 1/10 of a watt, maybe. So that is the test of that. Now, the other trick, of course, is with my big fat fingers. Look how big they are compared to that resistor. Now, I'm going to try and take components like that and then get them into the correct holes of this little board from time to time. You just push them down. I've managed to do that, but only with considerable difficulty. So, all I can tell you is have patience. Hang in there. Keep watching these videos. Sooner or later I'll get to the next experiment. Stan Gibilisco signing off from the Black Hills of South Dakota, which is having benign, mild weather compared to some of you down in the Atlanta, Birmingham areas. I really feel for you because we had that storm, Atlas. Go to my YouTube channel, look at the storm of October 2013 video sequence, and you can get an idea of what we had to go through only 2 weeks after the end of the calendar summer. and only 1 month after I had been swimming outdoors in a pool on a hot, hot Labor Day in Spearfish, South Dakota. So, with that, I will let you go, and we'll get on to the next experiment eventually. Stan Jabalisco, until next time, so long.